This is Alan Schwartz for the New York Times. In the late 90s, the FDA allowed the advertising of controlled substances directly to consumers. Pharmaceutical companies jumped at the chance to market medication to treat attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Since then, ADHD diagnoses have become so common that now 1 in 7 high school students in the United States has been told they have the condition. Some experts are worried that parents are being driven to their doctors to ask about a diagnosis.
You're getting calls from his teacher. He's impulsive in class.
And his inattention makes focusing on homework tough.
ADHD is a real and legitimate clinical problem, and it affects a lot of children. I think that at the same time, there is recognition that ADHD medications are overused.
Harvard professor Dr. Aaron Kesselheim studies pharmaceutical marketing and ethics. He discussed what makes ADHD ads so effective.
So I think as a patient or as a consumer, you see a perfectly balanced child who is both academically and athletically gifted. You see words like potential jump out at you and academic performance. And you see this background of these neurons so that you think that there is some science behind it. You know, I think that a lot of these quotes play on common fears and concerns that parents have about their children, that they're not socialized enough or they're not emphasizing their homework. You know, there aren't a lot of 8-year-olds out there who look forward to doing their homework. So this advertisement, I think, is slightly better because you see the banner at the top that clearly indicates that this is supposed to be for parents of children with ADHD. That being said, I think that you know, the picture there plays on a lot of people's fears about children not doing well in school, and there are plenty of children who get B's and C's and whose parents would rather them get B pluses, but they don't have ADHD. I mean, I think that it still is you know, catches the eye of somebody flipping through a magazine whose child doesn't have a diagnosis of ADHD. One of the fundamental characteristics of pharmaceutical advertising is that they tend to overestimate the benefits of the products and underestimate the risks. And one of the ways they do that is through adjustment of the fonts and placement of the material on the page, so that the benefits tend to be on the top of the page and the risks tend to be at the bottom of the page, because people read from the top to the bottom, and so what you read next is influenced by what came first. You know, it plays on the, you know, parents' normal considerations that, you know, sometimes their kids can be monsters, but that, you know, at their core they love them, and, you know, you want to be interacting with that, you know, lovable kid inside rather than the monster that your, you know, 8-year-old son can sometimes be.
After the doctor diagnosed my son with ADHD, I knew treatment was the right thing to do.
Some of the ways that pharmaceutical companies sell their product is by informing people about the condition. It isn't selling a particular drug, but experts say these kinds of marketing videos do lead people to ask for medication.
There's good news. The American Academy of Pediatrics guidelines recommend stimulant medications to treat ADHD. Certain types of these ADHD medications have been safely and widely used for over 40 years.
They talked about stimulant medications being safe and effective for decades. They were not under any obligation to mention any risks of that medication.
Right, because they didn't mention the specific drug, so they don't have to mention the specific risks. So what you got there was 30 seconds of how wonderful stimulant medications are, and very soft music and pleasing shots of the countryside that, you know, it leads to a lot of positive associations. I think it is misleading for a company to mention the benefits of a class of products without mentioning the common risks of those class of products and the positive outcomes that pharmacotherapy can have without mentioning the risks or the alternatives to pharmacotherapy that exist for treatment of this condition.
Vyvanse helps control my ADHD. That's it.
Diagnoses of adult ADHD are now rising as fast as children's did a decade ago. In the past several years, ADHD in adults has been recognized as a real and treatable condition. Marketing efforts have followed.
It was my ADHD, and like many kids with ADHD, I didn't outgrow it.
Medications for ADHD have improved the lives of millions of people with the disorder, but questions remain about how often the disorder is misdiagnosed and the role that pharmaceutical marketing continues to play.